Hello and welcome to Public Report. I'm Desiree Hord, your host, and our guest today is John RobinsWells, founder and executive director of the Wisconsin Center for Missing Children and Adults. Our issue is public safety and our topic, abductions. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're glad to have you here. Please tell our viewers about yourself and why you founded the Wisconsin Center for Missing Children and Adults.
Among other things, I've did own a detective agency starting in 1968. And in '81, when the Adam Walsh case became known, I became part of the Adam Walsh Foundation, and I had an investigator in Florida that I donated to the family as part of the investigation down there. From that time on, we had cases now and then. I basically retired in '96, disabled, retired. Fibromyalgia, real bad. My wife was sick with cancer, leukemia. Lost her in 2000. 2002, the Alexis Patterson case came about in Milwaukee, and I was called in as a consultant. I guess I'm still consulting. I helped them build a nonprofit organization, put together a foundation. I finally agreed to be the president for 1 year. I don't know when that year is up. I'm still there. And from that, the fact that I had lost my wife and I'd kind of come out of retirement, I decided that as long as I could walk, talk, or crawl, that I was going to do all I could to recover at least one child a year. And I've succeeded in that far more than one a year.
How can parents protect their children?
They got to educate them. They got to teach them how to stay together when they're going somewhere, to always let their parents know where they're at, to have somebody with them. Just stay out of areas that are bad. The main thing is to make them aware. One of the biggest things I do is awareness programs on how to be aware of what's around you and what's going on, and just always being with somebody is a big thing.
What are some other abduction prevention methods?
Teach your children how that if they do see something, to try to leave the area as soon as they can. If they do get grabbed, yell, kick, and scream. Scream as loud as you can, yell and kick them. Kick them anywhere you can. We sometimes do demonstrations where we will have somebody dressed with, of course, protective gear on, but we will show them how to protect themselves and get involved in these type of programs.
How important is it for parents to educate their children about internet safety?
Very important. There is so much crime and wrong stuff going on out there on the internet, and it's so easy to access. There's just so much out there. They really, really have to educate them. Keep the computers out of their bedrooms, keep it under your control, observe what they're doing, go in and check what they're doing, or have parent safety program on your computer. There's several of them out there, real good ones. The National Center Missing Exploited Children has an excellent one. Put it on your computer and know what's going on.
When a child abduction occurs, is it most likely to have been done by a stranger?
No. About 80, I think it's 82, 83% of them are done by somebody that they know or a family member. Biggest share of them are family members.
What type of information should a parent have in a safe place in the event of an abduction?
They should have the complete description of that child. There's a couple real good ways of doing that now. We ourselves have a CD that we put out, or we handle, called Skip, that you record all the information on that CD on your computer. You can update it at any time. You change their pictures on it every 6 months if they're young. You put their dental records on. You try to, when they get a little older, get their fingerprints. You can put your fingerprints on there. If they have a surgery and they have any scars, they get a little older and they have tattoos, that can all be put on there. You can also get the same type program on a thumb drive now. And what happens is when the police come to your house, if I was to come into your house to take a report on a missing child, I come in with a book like this, and it's going to take me almost an hour, if not 2 hours, to get all that information recorded before I can even go to the police station and put a file in on it. You can hand an officer this CD or this thumb drive. He's got the information right there. He can put it on the computer, go with it right away. And they have a current picture. They have all the current information that you supply on there. And keep it in a real safe place. Don't carry it in your purse. Don't put it in the glove box of your car. If you do travel, there is, on the one we have anyway, there's one that you can make a copy of that gives basic information that you could give to law enforcement or give to a family member.
What are the steps to take if a child is missing?
First, notify your police. Second, if there's an organization such as ours in your area, notify us or them right away. And then notify in the state of Wisconsin, you notify the Wisconsin Clearinghouse. And from there you go to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children and notify them and go through the steps to get everything recorded and reported as soon as possible. If you were to notify us, one of the first things we would do would be to obtain a picture and a description of the person missing. Within 15 minutes we can have that into a flyer, print you 25 to 50 copies to get out into your local area and get it on the internet, and our particular website is seen in 87 countries.
Are there things to avoid?
We have a case right now that I'm kind of trying not to get involved in, but it's an older person that is missing, and everybody has gone off randomly searching just anywhere and everywhere. There's no coordination. If you get to the point that you're going to do some type of a search, set up a command post, designate a person or persons. We like to use 5 people to be in charge. Anything that's done, or anybody has a question, even the media, these 5 people agree. And set up a coordinated search. Set up a grid search to where you have a grid, you assign a sector, you assign a group to that sector, you know who they are, they go out and they search that area, haven't been instructed, they come back and report. If you don't do that, you can destroy an awful lot of evidence. You get so much chaos of 50 different couples searching 50 different places, sometimes 10 people searching the same area. You've got to have some control over what's taking place. And then, of course, be able to deal with the media. And that's where I usually come in, as I try to be the media person.
What is human trafficking?
Human trafficking is one of the biggest things happening out there today. There's over 800,000 people crossed the borders so far this year. There's currently 27 million slaves in the world. There's over 13 million that have been brought into the United States. It's a $32 billion industry. $32 billion a year is made off of human trafficking and slavery. And it's just a million of them are exported out every year. We have human slavery right in our local areas. It's not only the abduction of girls for prostitution and being sold, it's abduction of young boys, it's abduction of adults. There's adult slaves out here. And some of them are in the places that we frequent every day. And we need to get a control of this. When you've got 23 million people crossing our border illegally that are forced into our country and out of our country, it's a big problem. And I'm involved in an organization now called TAT, Truckers Against Trafficking. We have a small pocket card that they put into their pocket with phone numbers and instructions on it. We're trying to get that card in the pocket or wallet of every truck driver in the nation. Who better has the eyes out there than truck drivers? This started about a year ago. We got it into effect. So far, I believe there's been right around 100 young girls that have been saved and were being abducted because some truck driver saw it, called this number, reported it, action was taken. We had one that I happened to monitor on the radio right out at Johnson Creek 3-4 weeks ago. There was a young girl that was kind of being forced into a cab of a truck. Call was made, law enforcement got there and prevented her being taken away. It's serious. A lot of your missing children wind up into this. They wind up being sex slaves. They wind up being sold and taken over country. We had one that had was abducted in this area, Waukesha area, some years ago. Within 17 hours, that little girl was down in Central America in a brothel. It's serious. We have to do something well. We have to keep our eyes open. We got to do everything we can to prevent this.
What should someone do if they think they are witnessing an abduction?
Call the police immediately. Call 911. The 911 operators do not care if it turns out to be false. Make the call. You got to make the call. You see something, anything, make the call. If you happen to see a poster or a picture of a missing child somewhere and you think you see that person, don't hesitate, make the call. It's much better to be wrong than to not do something. And we have something we always say in what we do in that, it's much better to do it and say, oh gee, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it, than it is to not do it at all.
How can we keep safety as a focus and best use preventative measures to avoid abductions?
You're one of the best measures there is out there, using the TV awareness, keeping stories on TV, keeping pictures on TV, in the newspapers. You got to keep it publicized. Don't let a missing child that 3-4 months down the road there's really nothing going on. An example is the case of the little boy and this mother committed suicide, went up through the Dells and that. That case kind of went cold for 3 months. All of a sudden it was put on the air again. We got them to air it a little bit. We got 3 leads. Now they may or may not turn out to be anything. I don't know, but this time, because they're being investigated this time. But we have 3 new leads. It kind of revives things and keeps it going. And just like with the Alexis Patterson, we just passed a 10-year, but we got as much press as we could get the press to do to get that out there and get the newest pictures out there on her.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show
It's
today.
been my pleasure, and I would appreciate doing much more of them as I can.
Well, we've been speaking with John D. RobinsWells, founder and executive director of the Wisconsin Center for Missing Children and Adults. Our issue, public safety, and our topic, abductions. Thank you for viewing Public Report.
The material on this program does not necessarily reflect the views of WWRS.